I would like to see the town, when it goes through and tries to improve something or fix something with an ordinance, have a slightly longer view of what they're trying to do. A good example, I think, back when Walmart was trying to come here, one of the things the town got done to sort of combat Walmart coming here was the 60,000 square foot of retail ordinance. And when at the time, people thought, hey, there's no way anyone's ever going to get close to this. This is going to be a pretty good way to stop it. And I certainly understand why it was done. And I think at the time it did its job. Recently, though, we saw Pips Liquors move out of the shopping center. And then we were, it was sort of the rumor that Parts Plus was going to move out as well. And Acme was going to expand. And you have to keep in mind, 60,000 square feet is, 200 by 300 feet. And that Acme Plaza there, again, depending how you meter out the size, would hit, or fairly close to hit, that 60,000 square foot mark. It's not as much space as you think it is. And I don't think that anyone who passed the ordinance, 20 years ago really thought about that. And I guess things like that, I'd like to see more, again, I guess a better long view. A few years ago, when I was in high school, it was more than a few years ago, but we passed the ordinance that said, you can't ride your bike, you can't skateboard the sidewalk, and that's to stop somebody like me from running over someone on First Friday, holding a cup of coffee on a bicycle. I understand that. Unfortunately, the way the law is written, your child can be riding a bicycle on the sidewalk in front of your house, and they're in every bit as much of a violation of the law as somebody who rides their bike on the sidewalk in downtown during First Friday. And again, I don't think that was the intention, but the law could be perceived and enforced that way. And sort of the roundabout way of getting to the sign ordinance, I think the sign ordinance is the same way. Again, when the law was drafted, I think it served its purpose, but as we move forward, a lot of the things that they talk about there are just, obviously not enforced. And I think that part of that could well be that the original intention of the law was not to be as encompassing as it was, and it kind of just happened that way. As an example, the explicit outlaw of neon signs, we see neon signs everywhere in town, and it's kind of a fact of life. You expect to see it at a liquor store, you expect to see it at a bar. You go into Washington Square, you go into the Acme Plaza there, and there's neon signs everywhere, and nobody thinks twice about it. It's not an eyesore. You expect to see it in the commercial district. And, many of those signs have been there for a really, really long time, and I don't think that, having them be illegal in the ordinance is really necessary, because we see that it's not that big of a deal. In the historic district, sure, I certainly understand that. You want to preserve what people come here for. And people appreciate walking around downtown and not seeing a neon sign, and I understand that. But again, we need to recognize that there are two very separate commercial zones in this town, and we need to have a sign ordinance that works well for both of them. As another example, the ATM sign that twinkles over there at Dunkin' Donuts. That might bother some people, it might not bother other people, but it's there and it turns on every day. And it sort of is what it is. And if that's something that the town decides doesn't bother them, or that the citizens of the town decide doesn't bother them, then, why should the people who spend the money on a sign like that have to worry if their investment is going to be there? We talk a lot about economic growth, and one of the things that you think about before you invest in a business is, what's the long-term outlook? If I spend the money here, am I going to have to worry about my investment suddenly being yanked away because the government decides they don't like something? And the signs, particularly the marquee signs up there in the shopping center, are extremely expensive. And a company is not going to spend $20,000, $30,000 getting a channel letter sign put up if they think that the town is suddenly not going to like it anymore. And I certainly don't think that's the intention of the law, nor do I think it's the case. But the law needs to be written in such a way where everybody understands what it is and it's easily enforceable by the people that we have.
So. The other issue related to the sign ordinance is it's used as another example of how Chestertown is not pro-business. Do you buy into that argument?
It's not that I don't think Chestertown is pro-business. I think Chestertown worries about a lot of things that I guess don't have a lot to do with business. I don't think they're pro-business or anti-business particularly. I just think it's one of those things that's not on their plate at the moment. It just doesn't come up. When you look at the places, particularly in the shopping centers, we've had a pretty good record of holding the same businesses in there for long periods of time. And of course, when the economy turns down, you're going to see some fluctuation, some change. But I think by and large, they've stayed the same. If people saw, big marker stores like People's, like Acme, like Sears, like the movie theater, if they started coming and going or kind of blinking a little bit, I think the town would stand up and pay attention. But the reality of business is that, when you decide to run a business, there are a variety of factors that go into it, and some businesses make it and some businesses don't, and that's just kind of the way it goes. I think the town could do some things to make it a little bit easier. I think they could do a better job engaging the business community, but you can only blame the town so much before you really have to take a look at the kind of business that didn't work out and why it didn't work out, because a lot of times it's sort of an extraneous thing. Maybe a parent died, maybe your investment portfolio is not doing as well as it should, maybe you decided to move someplace else. So there's a bigger picture here. The first thing I guess I would do for my ward in particular, I would love to see the roundabout over there sort of re-examined. I think when people decided to do that, they didn't really think about the sort of complete impact it's going to have on the flow of traffic there. A lot of large trucks, farm equipment, things like that make use of the three-way stop there. And right now, with the way it is, it works well enough that traffic can flow through there. A semi can make a left or a right turn. A combine can get through there. Based on the size of the blacktop there, assuming that you're not going to spend a whole lot of time expanding it in any given direction, semi-traffic is not going to make it through there anymore. And as a result, you're going to see 18-wheelers going down High Street through the historic district, making the left, or making the left, I hope, to go out to 213. And I think a lot of people who said, hey, this is a good idea, didn't really think about how narrow the roads were, what a mouthful of diesel smoke tastes like. When you're walking with your child back from the library, getting a big smokestack full of smoke really isn't on your to-do list. I don't think it adds a whole lot to the magic of Chestertown. So I guess I would like to see that re-examined. And whenever you alter flow traffic, you're going to see delays as people get used to it. I think the three-way stop was certainly a good thing. And right now you see a lot of consideration from the drivers. Everybody waiting their turn doesn't seem to be a difficult thing. And if you take a look on the Western Shore as well, a lot of the places with the roundabouts are ripping them out because they're just way too problematic. And if you take a look at the roundabouts in Millington, you've got these big white concrete roundabouts with some stuff in the center, and you just see truck tire marks all over them because the trucks literally have to go over them to cross over 301. And it's not something I think we need to see here. The second thing on my bucket list would really be looking at some sidewalks for the Flatland Road area. Anyone who drives up Flatland Road past dusk, you run a pretty good risk of hitting someone with your car. Riding a bicycle, walking, because there's no sidewalk. They've got placeholder markers there, and you can already see where several of them have been hit with a car. The shoulders there are not terribly huge. You don't put down your cup of coffee correctly. You sneeze, you adjust the radio. Any of those things can bring your car over in the shoulder enough where you could really hurt someone. Last but not least, I think we need to look at the park situation. The town, to go with the roundabout, has decided to put a gateway park there. I think with the location where it is, if you're really aiming the park at children, having the kids cross Route 20 with the volume of traffic that goes through there every day is a mistake. As someone with a child, I don't want to have to negotiate that road with a 2.5-year-old little girl. it's only a matter of time before something, pretty bad happens. So unless the town has a handicapped accessible skyway in the works, which I'm not sure if they do, getting people over there safely is going to be difficult. And when you're in sort of an out-of-town location like that, whenever you have a place where kids congregate, if it's not well lit, if it's not easily accessible, you can run into the usual issues that teenagers run into, drinking, smoking, that kind of thing, and it's not something you really want to see in a place that's supposed to be nice and aimed towards the public and aimed towards kids. So I think we could work with the homeowners associations back there in Flatland Road, with the town, the higher up government in some capacity, to bring something in there that really works a little bit better for everybody. I think Washington College does a great job looking out for its personal interests. My concern with Washington College has always been the students who go there. I went to college down in Towson, and you have the hub of 5 or 6 very large schools there. There are always a lot of college kids. There's a lot of stuff for kids to do. I would like to see the town engage the college in such a way that provides more for the kids to do. We have an incredible economic engine up there in the student body, and I would love to give them an excuse to spend Friday and Saturday night off campus. Whether it's going to see a show, whether it's going to the bar, going out to dinner, or whatever it is that we can offer them that brings their money off campus, because that's going to help everybody.